Hey guys, it's come quite some while since I've done a video. That's because it's been quite a busy period of time the last few weeks. We've been away, sort of family holiday for a couple of weeks, and I've been building my workshop over the last 3 weeks. Those of you that have watched some of my videos before will recognise that I'm sat now in my greenhouse, which is where I've been knife making up to this point. And in the last video that I did, I said that I would be converting my old shed at some point into a workshop. In the end, I decided not to do that and to go for a bigger workshop, or a bigger space, and invest in something for the future, really. So had to raise quite a bit of money for it. Sold a lot of hi-fi. I'm a big hi-fi nut. I have been for 30 odd years, and some of my gear is quite sort of high-end stuff, so I decided that it was worth parting with that, some of it anyway, and putting that money towards a workshop. I haven't managed to sell everything, so I haven't been able to afford to do everything yet, as you'll see. But what I'll do is put some stills on to show you some of the stages in the build, and then once you've watched those, I'll show you on a video and take you around the workshop.
It's summer sun running on the beach, for all the times we had together. Mid-Easter flame fading away. You said our love was forever. Tears in the rain, nothing's the same. I'm far from love, burned by your flame until we meet again. I'm far, so far from love. Like autumn leaves falling from the sky, it's turning cold, the summer's fading. Goodbye, my friend, we'll meet again. I know this love is forever, forever and ever. Tears in the rain, nothing's the same. I'm far from love, burned by your flame until we meet again. I'm far, so far from love. Tears in the rain, nothing's the same. I'm far from love, burned by your flame until we meet again. I'm far, so far from love, so far away, so far away.
Okay, so this is the outside view of the workshop. It's a 16 foot by 8 foot workshop, and full side of windows that are shuttered. first job is to sort of take those shutters down, which I'll do now. Normally these would be locked, but I didn't do that. So just go down the side, sort of undoing and unlocking it normally, and then lower these down. We have quite a high crime rate in the area. I don't know, that wouldn't keep out anybody who was serious, but it'd keep out chances, people trying, just having a look. Right, so I've got some fairly hefty locks. What I did was put sort of coach bolts through on the hinges, drilled out all these sort of screw heads so that they can't just be undone, and some decent hardware here. So I'll just I'll switch this off while I unlock. Right, okay, so it's all unlocked now. Now, as you'll have seen during the build of it, it's all sort of insulated and lined with OSB board. Right, so what I did was, on the right hand side, put benching at a sort of traditional 60cm work height with shelving down that side. Pardon me. Also mounted sort of a small shelf here. And what we've got here, we've got Makita, what they call miter saw, chop saw. I'll probably be selling that. It was used for the build more or less. I bought it for this, and with the intention of selling it. I'll put that money and more towards the Makita bandsaw, metal cutting bandsaw that I need. Table saw, which I think I probably will keep, down there. This is a sort of work area. I've got my etching equipment there, and some storage bins, the bobcats that I'm working on at the moment. At the top here, sort of gluing equipment, things like that. Granite slab for sanding the scales flat. Attach sandpaper to it with masking tape. Might get rid of that and get some float glass at some stage. Sort of marking out and drawing area. This is the sort of latest one that I'm thinking of doing, a slightly larger bobcat, like Bobcat Plus or Big Bob or whatever. I'll have a think about what we'll call that. Okay, so down this side I've got angle grinder on a sort of jig thing here, just to I'd scare the willies out of me, angle grinders, if I'm honest, but that's probably as safe as I can get it for use. The little 1x30 that I started with doing bevels. A 2x72, which was made for me by Whetstone Forge. You can check Paul out on Facebook. It's got I've put a glass platen on, and some of my other videos I've shown this. I've just sprayed it up a little bit because it was, not surprisingly, it was rusting in the greenhouse. I've got all the sort of gear, safety gear, defenders, goggles, respirators and things hanging up here. That's my Sealy sander, Linisher, which I use a lot actually. Started off with this, well actually no, I started off with an even smaller belt sander, but soon replaced it with this. Got this cheap, it was being got rid of at work, so I took the opportunity. They're fantastic. I use this bit for doing the front edge of the scales. I've got all the belts sort of hanging up on racks here. I made myself a leatherwork apron, especially when I'm sort of using the buffer. You know, just makes me feel a bit better having something between me and it. Alarmed, cheap little sort of remote control alarm. Those things, if you're wondering, are because as yet I have no sort of big wheels for the 2x72 to do angle to do sort of radiuses and things like that. So I use these in a simple sort of mounted system on here, where they go into here, and that enables me to sort of get the shaping on the handles. I've got some different sized wheels in there, some smaller ones. In here I've built a sort of storage cupboard for my large dust extractor. It's sort of tucked away at the moment. Oops. In here, sort of room for a broom and stuff like that. The idea, I mean, at the moment I'm going to have to just wheel that in and out. The idea will be with that I have ducting that I lay across the floor and underneath the benching that sort of comes up with gates that you can open and close to extract your dust on various points along this bench. I don't know, this side I'll probably just have to use it manually. Okay, a sort of a cupboard up here that I'm just using as a bit of a junk store, if I'm honest, at the moment. I've got my Abranet up here, micro mesh stuff for finishing off handles, some wet and dry in here, and just some some of the stuff left over from the build, to be honest, that I haven't cleared out yet. On this side, you'll see it's all sort of very, very much hobby level kit that I use and that I own at the moment, but you know, over time it'll be upgraded. So got a cheap bandsaw. These get terrible press, terrible reviews. I took up on, and I'm glad I did, because I think it's more to do with how they're set up, and they come supplied with a really dreadful blade. If you get a decent blade on it and take some time setting it up, it's okay actually. And of course you're going to finish off the scales. I've finished the scales off on here. I've put a sort of flatter platen on here, and then I hand finished them anyway on the granite block. So it's alright. Very cheap pillar drill, but again, it's doing the job for the time being, and when I get a chance I'll upgrade it. My knife vise, this side, this benching on this side is higher than on this side. It's just benching. There's no shelves underneath, although I've got some plastic shelving at the moment, so I can put more sort of variety and taller things underneath. For instance, I've got my paraffin heater there, and I've got my Black & Decker workmate under there, so I needed the height for that. Knife vise, again made by Whetstone Forge. Another knife vise. Big obvious omission at the moment is I've no engineer's vise. That must be sort of one of my next purchases. I've got a big woodworking vise in the loft that might be worth putting on for clamping handles maybe. Shelf up here, I've got various oils, cutting oil, drill bits. I've got some of my etching solutions here, stabilizing resins, that's anti-scale coating that Lee Bennett put me onto, so I haven't used it yet because I haven't started the heat treat yet. The system for stabilising woods here, I've got my vacuum pump, and at the moment I'm just using a large glass vase that I got from TK Maxx. and sort of added bits and bobs to it, sort of valves and things here and there. A little toaster oven, which at some stage I'll probably replace with something a bit bigger with a better insulation that gives a more stable temperature. I do monitor it with a thermocouple. My kiln, which I bought from Lee, again Lee Bennett from LB Custom Knives. It's nice. It's pretty much perfect size for the kind of knives that I'm making. At some stage in the future, I'll supplement that with an even heat, I would suppose, but that's well out of my budget just for now. On the floor down here, I've got some quench oil. I've got some what is it called? Mill quench. 1804. It's an accelerated quench oil. But Jason at Willowwood's got me all worried about that now. So I'm not sure if it's going to quench it too quickly. I've got some vegetable oil in the background there. I've got my... Oh, this was a nice find. I've got my great big ammo box here, which I'm going to be putting the oil in. And I put it on a little trolley because that's going to be pretty heavy once the oil's gone in it. So that's close at hand to wheel it in and out. Now, if you haven't already spotted, I guess the most obvious thing is I've got absolutely no electrics in here yet. It wasn't actually even an option to wait because my wife was absolutely goddamn sick of all this sort of clutter and stuff that was in the house, all this equipment and in the sheds. The sheds were unusable, so I had to, sorry if you can hear that, I'm quite near to Manchester Airport. My God, it sounds like, what is that? No, I can't see it, but so I had to sort of move in. I'm not at the point yet where I can afford the electrics, but I suppose having everything in means that, because things will get moved about, no doubt. This is just the first sort of layout that I've put in, and it'll give me an idea where I want sort of PowerPoints and things fitting, and how many. I can that's something I need to work on. Basically what I've done is I've split the workshop into a sort of dusty dirt area, which is the far end, and a cleaner working area. How will I keep the clean area clean? Well, at one point I was thinking of splitting the shed in two and actually building so a partition and a door at this point. I may still do that, but I kind of like the feel of the size of it at the moment, so I've even been wondering about some kind of fabric, like a canvas or something that I could perhaps, if I turn us around, if I could attach to the sort of roof hole, I've forgotten the name of those things, that bit there, I could sort of drop some fabric down. It's a thought. I don't know. Something that I didn't mention was I built a sort of loft area here for sort of wood and anything long. I've got my very long spirit levels and things like that up, and rods, metal rods and things that are a bit long. There's a good space there, sort of space above the work area here for very long pieces of wood. I can store them up there. So it's been a long time coming, this. I'm in my 50s and I've never had a space like this. I've never owned a workshop of any sort or description. I've always worked outdoors on a Black & Decker Workmate or in the greenhouse. But now I have a workshop, and yeah, very happy with it. Right, I've put you on top of the kiln now. Well, I hope you enjoyed seeing around the workshop. I should be able to start sort of putting out more videos now. I've got like a little holder and stand for my phone. I'll think in the future about getting a better quality camera, but it's a whole learning process, the YouTube thing and the videos, and I look at people's like Scott from Wessex Blades and all these sort of fantastic start things, logos, etc, etc. So I'll have to look into all that to see if I can make the videos more interesting. I know they're a bit rough and ready. You know, it's basically I switch the phone on and I talk to it and I show you around and then I switch it off. So yeah, it could be a lot more polished, but that's something I can work on. Talking of logos, I should just show my logo thing up here. I'll just turn the camera around. Yeah, I've got this hanging up. This was made for me by Will Canavan, a customer who sells these cuxes and other stuff. He's a wood carver, and he put my logo on for me. So this is sort of hanging up, pride of place, in my workshop. So thanks for that, Will. Right, okay, I'll sign off properly now, and look forward to the next video I put out. All right, see you now. Bye.